They say that imitation is the sincerest form of flattery, that mediocrity can pay to greatness. Well, with God as my witness, I am that mediocrity. I'm gonna be honest, whenever it comes time to make something, I always struggle to make something original. I wonder what people will think of what I make, and then I wonder how it will be perceived. And then my brain gets caught up in what does it mean for things to be original? 1,000 grains of sand in a vast ocean of ideas. Then I remember that making things is fun, and I don't care what other people think, or that's what I choose to think. And I'm gonna be whoever it is that I am. And when it comes to making things, one of the things that I'm aware of is the great many number of things that have served as inspiration for various parodies, pastiches, homages, tributes, you name it. In general, imitations that I make. What do these imitations look like? Roll the clips! Smash Brothers. I don't remember if you saw the advertising at the time, but Smash Brothers had a very distinctive style around this era of the game, and the Race Against Time posters at this time reflected that cool era of time. There have also been other elements of the Race Against Time and of streaming that have kind of followed this idea. There was a lot of Super Nintendo themed branding for previous Race Against Time posters, but also some of the overlays that I used for streams at the time. Not to mention logo inspiration from the PlayStation for things like the Goat VG's logo. Desert Bus. If you haven't heard about Desert Bus, it's a charity where they play the worst game ever for like a week. It sounds bad, but it's actually a lot of fun. Basically, everything from the Race Against Time was inspired by Desert Bus. Did it all work? Does this just go on like this for the rest of the... Yep.
It might.
Probably. Yeah.
We're going straight to the Race Against Time. No, but over time we found things that do work. Near Automata, or Automata? I don't know. If you've ever tuned into my streams, you've noticed probably that the layout is hugely inspired by Near Automata. Whether it's the loading screen, which is clearly reminiscent of Automata's loading screen, whether it's the general layout, which takes elements from the menus in the game, or even the BioBreak screen, which is reminiscent of the boss screens that appear in the game. Beakman's World and Bill Nye.
None of them were anywhere near Nick Fry, the fandom guy. We have certain standards of excellence here.
Ah, jeez, Nick. What the heck are we doing today? I was out so late last night, the room's still spinning.
Good morning to you too, Shakespeare.
When we decided to do an April Fool's episode of Anthropological, it seemed like a slam dunk to pick Beakman's World or Bill Nye as the example for that. Anthropological is a show that's kind of informational, but also mostly fun and discussional, and Beakman's World in particular, with its zany, kooky, but also science side of things, was a really fun way to convey all these facts about philatelists, that is stamp collectors, in a way that's accessible but still fun, and also to learn a bunch of stuff about audio drama, which would later be used for Zeal Archives. Final Fantasy VI. I mean, the Great Magicite fight is all about this, and you can see it in the opening credits to the game itself. You can see that in the way that we open up the event, which is straight up ripoff of the opening to Final Fantasy VI. Pokemon! Have you been watching these Vedas? There's like all sorts of weird little Pokemon references. But if that hadn't convinced you, there was also this panel that I did from Kanji, which had a huge love of the game in it. Chrono Trigger! Everything has like Chrono Trigger elements. Like there's the Race Against Time logo, there's all of the posters for the events, there's the layout, and in recent years, the whole opening sequence that is pretty much the ticking clock from Chrono Trigger's opening screen. Not to mention all of the other imitations and references that show up in other things that I've made, like the Zeal Archives having hugely influential sections from Back to the Future, Dragon Ball, and Alien. Heck, even these Vedas have had a whole bunch of references in them, whether that's Clone High, Pokemon, or even the Muppets. And there's at least one big reference, homage, parody, whatever you want to call it, that is going to come up by the end of Veda, I hope, if plans go according to plan. Oh yeah, and also this.
Tonight's performers are
Our resident neurologist, Zelda Momoe.
What does a lock work, Sigma?
I don't know, but lock starts with the letter L.
Ah!
Did I have a point? I don't know. I guess what I'm realizing is there's nothing wrong with imitating different works. There's a saying, I think it's by Pablo Picasso, which is good artists copy, great artists steal. And maybe that's the lesson here? Maybe there's no lesson. Maybe life is chaotic and random. It is, but that's not the point. I mean, think of all the music that's made just using 4 chords. You gotta have 4 chords. I know we've had some fun and shared some laughs, but tomorrow we're gonna talk about things that are just a little bit more serious. They say that imitation is the sincerest form of flattery. Greatest form of flattery. Sincerest. Shit. If you've ever the layout is a clear if you've ever turned in